I'm your host, Felipe Rose, and welcome to the Disco Chronicles and Beyond. This podcast is about the disco era, the music, the culture, and the impact it's had on the world today, and why disco is still so hot. After successfully touring the world for over 4 decades as one of the original co-founders and members of the world-famous Village People, selling over 100 million records, this disco king truly knows a thing or two about the disco era. So sit back and relax and enjoy my conversation with my guest today. Welcome to another episode of the Disco Chronicles. I'm your host, Felipe Rose. In this podcast, we pull the curtains back once again on the disco era, the music, the clubs, the DJs who made us dance to many of the disco songs that kept us up late at night. My guest today is Wendy Stuart. She's an actress, comedian, host, and model. Wendy is also known for her quirky sensibility and high energy. Wendy's published memoir, She's the Last Standing Model, is hilarious and available on Amazon. Trust me, I know, having met her at parties in New York City and other noteworthy functions. Just recently, we circled around Manhattan on the Hudson River for CT, with other Studio 54 notables, influencers such as lighting technician Marsha Stern and Rollerina. Wendy has a podcast show online on the UBTV network, and her co-host is none other than Tim Moss. If awards were given out to anyone who literally were out supporting and hosting other people, the New York City night events, it's Wendy. Give her an award. Hell, I'll give her one. New York City is her home, shared with her hair, Chihuahua, cockatoo, 2 English Angoras, her husband and a daughter. That's a lot right there. To roam freely just like Wendy. Get ready and enjoy my conversation with Wendy on this episode of the Disco Chronicles. God bless you. I don't know where you get your energy from.
My mother used to say it was all over the place like horse manure.
No, well, so the thing is that with you, I was doing a little more reading on your background and your resume and all that. Like you're a model. You've acted. You are put out a book. And your book is hilarious, The Last Standing Model, which is available on Amazon.
Excuse me, I like that. It's the last model standing, but I like the last standing model, Felipe.
Oh, the last model?
Right. Because so all the rest have fallen down. That's right. And I am the only one left.
The last model standing.
I like that.
That is what is called a flipism, when I flip words around.
I like that, a flipism. I'm stealing that from you.
Yeah. So let's go back in time when you went your first time in Studio 54, which was just right after or the very beginning of the end of disco, and your introduction to the club and the music was, I think, in 81, right?
I graduated from college in 76, no, it was actually 1977 and a half, almost 78.
Okay, so
1977.
So you actually were you got into the club, you made it into Studio 54 during that time?
Yeah, but it wasn't easy, Felipe, because, Mark Beneke behind that red velvet rope. Okay, this beautiful at the time, right? Tall, ginger hair, very pale skin, and a trench coat. That whole really good looking Aryan kind of guy that he would, and he would pick out the people that he wanted, and I wasn't the one he wanted.
That reminds me of
just graduated from college, and I was there in my polyester dress and open-toed shoes. I mean, it was January. I remember how cold it was. The New York slush that we get on the ground. There I was in open-toed shoes waiting for Studio 54 going, Mark, just like everybody else. And he didn't let me in.
That reminds me of a movie that was made it's on Netflix, A Night at Studio 54. It took place one night, and there was always one girl that was always trying to get in, and they would never let her in. And she got so upset in the movie, she goes through a back door in the side alley, and she climbs up through one of the ventilators.
And that was it for her. I saw the
You saw that, and she couldn't get up. She was stuck. And she died in there.
And we're laughing about it. Please tell me that it didn't really happen.
No, they just wrote that in just to spice.
Oh my God, that was a cheap shot. But
it was a cheap shot in a cheap ass movie too. Right. It was horrible.
It was a horrible movie. But yeah, it was. If you were somebody that was nobody, right? It was very hard to get in there, but you could be nobody. But if you looked really good, if you had your own style, if you had a certain something, they would let you in. So that's what I set out to do. I got rejected probably 2 more times after that, till I finally got this idea in my head. I was going to dress like a dancer. I think the movie Flashdance was out around then. I'm not sure.
It was.
Right. So I showed up in a pink ballet leotard with a pink tutu, pink tights, and pink Capezio. Yes, Capezio was what everyone was wearing at the time. Capezio ballet slippers. And I had my hair all done up and everything. Well, I got in just like that, and the rest is history. I'm like, I got this figured out.
What was it about Studio 54? Even then, what was it about it that just made you feel like you were somewhere else and not in New York City?
Look at the ambiance in there. First of all, I want to talk to you about the parties, right? They were all themed. They were all over the top. I was there the night Bianca rode in on that white horse. Do you remember? That's a classic picture of Bianca Jagger. There was a white horse in Studio 54. So for me, a kid from the Bronx, it symbolized a lot of things, right? Getting through that rope meant I was accepted. It meant that maybe, right? And we all know about big dreams and humble beginnings. Look what happened to you. My God,
I was dancing. Yeah, thank you. I was actually one of the hired dancers.
You were hired
there.
Right. It was going to be
work at Studio 54, and I actually was there at that party, but I was backstage with the horse holding the bridle to bring it out, and I handed it over to my friend Michael Blaze, the late Michael Blaze. And in fact, the Angel, who's going to be on the show next week, she was also one of the dancers at the party, and she was like sitting on a swing. But that party actually wasn't really huge. It was like a very low turnout. It was the Bianca party, the Bianca Jagger party, that once the pictures were released in the Daily News, once people saw that there was a horse, there was a party for Bianca Jagger, then that set off the frenzy to get in.
You're right. Right. Because listen, it's media, right? We all know about this. The picture was all anybody actually saw. But even to be there on that night or any of the other nights, the night I met Andy Warhol and talked with Andy Warhol, any of those nights made me, this kid from the Bronx, feel like really special. And what it did is it appealed to your fantasies that you might, by crossing those velvet ropes, have all the kinds of things that all the chosen people did, right? It was a real statement on our socioeconomic conditions at the time. What we're lacking now, the kids that come here now already have all that stuff that I aspired to. They came with trust funds, not having it, right? Like the Madonnas, the Keith Harings, all right? All of those people that came, I came literally with $800 to the city, all right? I came with nothing, and most people did. And then you built your life from it. And what Studio 54 said to you, Felipe, it said you could have it all. It was
and it was actually one of the the only clubs, and apart from New York, and Xenon, because there were so many celebrities there, you were able to just be a regular person that happened to get in and be on the dance floor dancing, and right next to you, you would look over and see Brooke Shields or Calvin Klein or another A-star celebrity. And because the people that were there also dancing and partying, they left the celebrities alone. They didn't bother them. Could you imagine if there were cell phones back then?
Oh my God.
Nobody would have partied. Everybody would have been standing there taking selfies.
Well, yeah, not only that, but the energy that was on the dance floor, and you remember this, it was such a special energy, right? And if we had cell phones, and I remember when they first came about, people would be on the dance floor, like checking their phone.
Well, that's what they do now at concerts.
That's what I'm saying. It's
I was at a huge concert last Saturday in Asbury Park, the See Here Now concert, 40,000 people. I don't know what possessed me to get into that crowd, but I stayed at the parameter on the edges of it. I didn't go in the crowd. And Boy George was performing. And as I'm looking at the stage, but then I could see the big the Trumbo screen, all I saw was a field of cell phones. So why are you watching the concert or not enjoying the concert? They're enjoying the concert, but through their phone, but they're there physically.
But this is right. But it's this thing. They're recording the whole thing, but you're right. They're not experiencing it or being a part of it. Studio 54, right? We were all a part of.
We were a part of the energy.
The night I met Andy Warhol, I was actually put in the VIP section. I got to talk to Andy, who
now they said you get in there, the VIP section where the couches off to the let's see, you're in the club dance floor like this. It's off to the left. They had two of them, left and right. Yes. And there were all these group of couches with velvet ropes around it. So they let you walk in, girl.
Somebody came over and actually said that Andy wanted to talk to me because I was going there like every week. I would go every Thursday and every Sunday. I was a 2-time-a-weeker. All right. And he talked to me about being in his film with Joe D'Alessandro that he was doing now. And I love telling this story.
Joe D'Alessandro, what a beautiful man. He's still beautiful now.
Yeah.
In his 70s, but Joe D'Alessandro was
gorgeous,
stunning.
Right? Gorgeous. And Ultraviolet was going to be in the film. But the only film I had ever seen by Andy Warhol was that one, I think it was called Empire, where he put the camera on his subject for half an hour. So it was one person like this for half an hour. They didn't do anything. That was the film.
Andy, he studied people quite a bit during those nights.
He did.
And I remember being at the one evening on Park Avenue, the club Regine.
My God, Regine.
And Regine, actually, it was Regine in Paris in the late 60s and early 70s that she had a DJ play records on a record player.
Love it.
So Regine started the first discotheque. So the word discotheque comes from Paris. And so I went to the Regine's and Park Avenue, and the movie was just released, Can't Stop the Music. We had just filmed it that summer, but we were all in New York, and I go to this party. He's there, Julio Iglesias. And so he's taking pictures of everyone. And I was with Valerie Perrine.
I love her.
Who was in the film. And so I decided to just walk over to him and say, "Let you get in there with everyone, and give me your camera. Let me take a picture of you with everyone else." And he looked at me like that was the most bizarre thing he had ever heard.
Are you kidding?
And so he handed
me. I can see you doing that.
He handed me the camera, and I took a couple of pictures, and I gave him the camera back. He said, "No one's ever asked me to take my picture." Isn't that something?
Good for you. Right. Good for you. You were
now Roll Arena. Like 2 weeks ago, we were on a CT dance party on a boat on 9/11. It was raining. It was a little cold, and we were at the Dougie Meyer CT with legendary DJ Robbie Leslie. And you brought someone that's another infamous person back then.
I saw earlier today. We always meet for lunch.
Oh,
And
that's sweet.
I love her. Well, she's part of
Rollerina.
my family now. She calls herself my lesbian mother. She's my lesbian mother.
Roll.
And I just saw her. We had lunch together with my husband. And here's the thing. That was such a surprise for Rollerina. And I don't know if because I didn't tell anyone. I put the whole thing together. I got her to get the ticket, I had to talk her into coming, got her to get the ticket, realized she was a veteran, perfect time to honor her, perfect time to honor her birthday, got Casey and Krista to go and get a cake and sneak it on. And then I talked to you and told you to come on.
By the way, that cake was a cannoli cake.
Cannoli.
Wow. It was stunning. I had a slice of that. When I heard that it was cannoli, I thought, it was like one of those big, because it was a big cake and it was, lots of cream on it and all that. But when someone said to me, "Oh, it's a cannoli cake," I ran right over and got a slice.
Felipe said, "Holy cannoli! I'm going to get
cannoli." Absolutely, yeah. So the thing is that we were on the boat circling Manhattan, and it was very somber moment, and because we go by Lower Manhattan and we saw the lights that were projected up in the night sky, and then of course when we were coming back and we saw the Statue of Liberty, that really capitalized the evening of where we were, all these other luminaries and other people that were part of Studio 54, and seeing everyone again, of course, mind you, waist size is a little larger, a little older, but the spirit was there from with everyone dancing to the great songs that Robbie Leslie was spinning, and it just was nonstop. And I know that I remember I had a surprise performance, and I did say to the crowd, I know this is a somber day for all of us, but it's a time now for us to not forget, but to take the day back. Because a lot of people, and I know a lot of people that had birthdays on 9/11 and anniversaries, and they just stopped celebrating. And so now that we're 21 years later, it's okay to go through the motions and the emotions and all the feelings that are connected to 9/11. But then now it's really time to start taking that day back, to to celebrate it.
And I agree with you. And I thought, having Rollerina as our guest of honor, who better? Okay, Vietnam vet, and a lot of people don't know that about Rollerina. I wanted everyone to know that. And believe me, in Vietnam, Rollerina can tell you stories, nightmares, right? There she was having an incredible time. You performed. There were so many great people. The girl who used to do the lighting at the Saint was there.
Marsha Stern. Marsha was my first roommate in New York during the early days of Village People. Then she ended up working for the production company. Yes. The production company Can't Stop Productions, and it was actually the ex producer, and so we ended up working together, living together, and then working together. And then of course I hadn't seen her until only a few years ago, but it was just like old times, just connecting again. And the music really lends itself to that.
Totally.
To hear songs by Donna Summer, like when Robbie played Last Dance, we knew that it was the last dance because we're gonna have to get off the boat.
I hate when he plays Last Dance because I know it's over, but you know what those songs did for both of us? It made us think about what we were doing when we heard that song for the first time, right? Who were we with? What were we experiencing? And music, as you know better than anyone, has a way, it brings you back, it time travels you. It brings you back.
It really is like a time capsule.
Yeah,
it really is. Capsule. So I'm going to play a little trivia with you.
Oh, no.
Just to see, how much you know. All right, so this first question is a trivia. What is the full name of Casey and the Sunshine Band? His name is Harry Wayne Casey.
Okay, I would have never gotten that.
Okay,
that's so for me.
There was a girl that sang her former profession. A lot of people don't know that. I knew that. Andrea True Moore, who had the hit "More, More, More." How do you like it? How do you like
I
it?
love that song,
Right.
but I didn't know anything that you just said.
She was
How do you like it?
an adult entertainer in
She
movies.
was? Oh
She
my
was
God.
a yes, yes, yes. All right, I'm gonna give you like a multiple question here. Who
I'm
had the? I'm
failing the
gonna
game, Felipe. I'm not doing well at this game.
no.
Keep
This one you got this next one. Who had the hit "I Will Survive"? A. Donna Summer. C. B. Andrea True. C. Diana Ross. D. Gloria Gaynor.
Gloria Gaynor.
Okay, very good.
Oh my God, I got one. Am I going to win something?
Yes, you are. I'm gonna mail you something.
Oh, I'm so sure.
I'm gonna need your address. In the mid, there was a heavy rock band that turned disco in 1979. A. Motley Crue, B. Queen, C. Kiss, D. Jethro Tull. Jethro Tull.
Queen.
Who?
Queen.
Queen. Queen. You were
Queen.
close. You were close, but believe it or not, it was Kiss. I
It was
was born.
Kiss.
I was born to for loving you. Yeah, and
I was made for loving.
loving you,
Okay,
baby.
so see, I know all the words. I just don't know any of the trivia. You got to mail me something. Oh, can I
Okay,
have the
I will
gold
mail you.
record?
It's okay. Oh, all right. One of the very first hits of disco hits was "The Hustle." It was recorded by A. Frankie Valli, Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes, the Bee Gees, Van McCoy.
Da, 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 da.
See, the
See,
thing is, everyone knows it, but this is why I love the show, is so that we can go back in time, and then for the younger generation and the younger people that are listening that didn't experience it, they'll hear the information and they'll go, oh, so that's who recorded it. It
the
was
Bee Gees.
Van McCoy.
Ah.
Last question. Last question.
Oh,
Who
so
who
bad.
had the hit "Les Freak"?
They freak. Da, 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 da. See, I'm giving you all the lyrics. What
A,
more do you want from me?
A. Clique. B. Disco Freaks. C. Village People. D. Chic.
Clique.
No.
Chic.
Chic.
There you go. I got it the second.
That's the trivia behind that, and true fact is that song they were trying to get into Studio 54 and they were not allowed to, and they said, oh shit, and then some other expletive word, and so what Nile Rodgers did was he turned around and he wrote "Lay Free," and it was about Studio 54.
Love
So
it.
no, I am gonna mail you a little something. We'll get your
I
address.
knew all the lyrics. How many people have you had on this show? I know all the lyrics. That I do, but I just don't know the other stuff.
Well, that was the thing, is that disco music was being pumped out at such a fast pace
Right.
that you didn't know who was the name of the. They didn't. We weren't putting out videos like they put out videos today, And that was the thing, is that you knew the song. There were some songs in those clubs that literally emptied, like would just fill up a dance floor.
Absolutely.
And I've interviewed a few DJs like Robbie Leslie who said you had to be very careful because one song could clear a floor. And if he put on, he had to make sure that the formula had to be disco. Don't try anything new that
Right.
people weren't familiar with. And if you wanted to try some remix B-side, now "I Will Survive" was a B-side on a record.
Okay, that's great trivia. That famous song, I can't believe it.
It was on a B-side, and a radio DJ, flipped the song over. "I Will Survive. Let me play this thing." He played it. It took off. People loved it, and then Gloria had an instant hit.
And that was it. Wow.
Instant. So the thing is that while we're talking about the Disco Chronicles, would you say that disco was the foundation that put you into your stratosphere to have more of who Wendy is today?
Yes, absolutely. It started with disco. It was the seed. Let's call it a seed.
The seed, right? The
I
pod.
grew. Okay, from disco, I grew into music evolving. It was disco that first took me and everybody else, and then we became clubbies, right? And
Well,
if you
yeah.
were clubby, you went with the music. And as they opened up more clubs in New York, and styles changed, a lot of our DJs rode the wave with us. Robbie Leslie, still, he can play current stuff. He can play that stuff. Robbie Leslie has been there right along.
Yeah, he's
DJs
on
like,
Studio 54 XM with Mark and Myra.
right. And that's Studio 54 songs, but I've heard Robbie can play other things, to be able to transcend. And I transcended, I went from disco into more like a Flock of Seagulls, more of what I would call indie disco. And then from that, we went on, got into like more techno, then more trance. There's been so many different styles of music. And I have to tell you something, Felipe. People say to me, well, what do you like the best? I love it all.
I do too. I love all of it. Because just because there was disco in the clubs, when disco had its, of course, its slow death, but it was actually very impactful because a lot of the acts that were putting out music like Gloria Gaynor, like Village People, like Donna Summer, that the height of disco and then the sudden death of disco with the Disco Sucks movement, suddenly all those albums that we recorded, they had to be thrown in the garbage. Now, Gloria Gaynor, she actually, I read an article not long ago and I asked her about it. She really was suspicious about the death of disco. Why is it happening so fast?
Right. It was like,
Because it was like turning a page. And then suddenly we were doing house music, and then we had the Euro sound, then
right.
the British sound and the Italian sound of disco. And she put her finger right on the pulse. She said it was radio. Radio decided they've had enough. They wanted their rock and roll music, and they turned their backs on disco.
And Felipe, radio ruled. Radio ruled then. Now,
It did. Yeah.
now it's like Spotify, right? Who rules now? It's a totally different ball of wax now.
It really is. It absolutely is.
It's totally not the same game, but to get a song played, that was Madonna's secret to doing it. She went out with DJs, she could get her songs played.
And she was very smart doing it that way because there was no Spotify for her to put her music on Spotify. She actually was the engine to her own music and her own success.
I love that. The engine. She was the
yeah. And so discotheques discos like Studio 54, Paradise Garage in New York City, and they allowed people to feel safe. And even when Saturday Night Fever was released, Saturday Night Fever, the soundtrack, the music is what made the movie.
Absolutely.
The movie, if that movie would have come out today, it wouldn't have made it in the theater.
No, it would have.
It was misogynistic, homophobic, it was racist. Well, if you watch, anyone that's going to listen to this show, do yourselves a favor, watch the movie, and if the soundtrack wasn't playing, it was a very dark film.
It was a dark film, but it was also a very iconic kind of film. John Travolta, the character he played. What was the name of the girl who played with him? It always jumps out of my mind.
Well, I know that the actress was Donna Pascal. Donna Pascal.
Was it Donna? It's an actress you don't see at all anymore, and she was a big star because of that movie. When I started running into her, like 15 years later on commercial auditions, I'm like, oh my God, she and I are on the same auditions. What the heck happened to her career?
Yeah, that movie did nothing for her career. And the thing is that in the film, she gets raped in the back of a car.
Right.
And then
it had all the bad stuff, violence.
When the guy jumped off the Verrazano Bridge, did he jump? I think he jumped, right?
Yeah, he did jump. Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, to watch, and then in doing more research, I read a paragraph quote by Barry Gibb that they did not get the script to the film. They were recording this album, and the producer that did the movie, they said, no, we'll send you the script. They never received the script.
They never got the script, and they did that music.
And they put the music, and so the music really carried the film.
Wow.
And how ingenious to just put that soundtrack underneath the film to make that film a success.
And it was a film, though, like what you're saying, they had no connection to it. And yet they were able to create the soundtrack, which brings me to the point that music can carry it. Music can create everything. Time travel, ambiance, any kind of experience can happen just because of the music. You don't need the visuals. And
no, you really don't. You're very the decline, however, was systematic racism, homophobic, that led to the emergence of disco, helping to contribute to its downfall. As many began to rebel against disco, the disco culture that it represented in 1979, the anti-disco sentiments reached a fever pitch when the Chicago DJ Steve Dahl started playing disco records and scratching them because his formatted music on the radio, rock and roll, they switched it to disco, and he wasn't happy about it. And I had he was my first interview on the Disco Chronicles.
wow.
And I didn't think he would want to speak to me, but the my producer at the time said, no, he said, yes, he will speak to you. And he had absolutely no idea. He was a Chicago DJ, that music was, the culture with disco music was mainstream in when it took off, but it was Black, gay, and Latino music in the clubs. And then, of course, white people jumped in and said, oh, we're going to make this a success, because they were, could afford to go out and really spend money and then buy records. So
Right.
They catapulted the music to keep the sales going. But sadly, the party came to an end. And let me tell you, the party was really crazy, because Studio 54, I would always bring a pair of sunglasses with me. Because I didn't like,
even there early in the morning.
I didn't like sunlight, and I always had I think that started happening because I did leave the club at sunrise and didn't like daylight. And so I always carried a pair of sunglasses with me. I would just put them right inside my pants and my socks, inside my sock. And I would take them out and put them on, and I would leave. Yeah. 6, 7 in the morning.
Okay, so I would be leaving in the morning. Well, I evolved from that ballerina outfit into, I was modeling for a swimsuit company, and they had swimsuits with the built-in cuffs in them, and they had tummy panels and a little skirt. Perfect, right? Perfect for me. And I would wear them with fishnet stockings. So at any given morning, you could find me leaving Studio 54 with my swimsuit and fishnet stockings on, trying to find a taxi to take me home so I could shower really quick and then go work for that swimsuit company.
That's
I remember
incredible.
going 46 hours with no sleep sometimes.
And yeah, but how old were we? We were really young. We could go to
21, 22.
We would sleep a week later. I won't sleep tomorrow.
Right.
I'll sleep
I always
the
used
next
to
day.
say I'll sleep when I'm dead. I say that now, though. So
And that's where the name Bridge and Tunnel came from.
TNT, right?
Right, where people that were not living in Manhattan but traveled in to go to the clubs and would be let out. Don't let their Bridge and Tunnel. Don't let them in. And there are a lot of course, people that were really smart like yourself. Oh, well, if it's going to take me to get all dressed up and gussied up, then let me come right back. Now I've got to look. Yes, you.
Yes.
No, you can stay, you can go. Maybe. And so that created the frenzy that people really needed to be a part of it. I don't know whether because they knew or they weren't going to get in and went anyway, or with the hopes to get inside.
It was a hope to get in, but understand the psychology of people. They love rejection. And what happens if someone's rejected? It's like that game Whack-A-Mole. You've played that.
Oh, yeah.
Hit the mole and he comes back up. The more times they were rejected, the more times they wanted to come back. It becomes a challenge. And listen, I was guilty of that too. I only got rejected a couple of times, but I wasn't going to stay with that rejection. I was going to turn it around. You want the forbidden fruit, and the forbidden fruit was Studio 54. That's it.
And the thing is that, when it comes to, the music itself, and the fact that there were disco stars and the artists that they actually wanted to go to the clubs.
Yeah.
I do remember other artists like in other places, R&B, this and that. They didn't want to go to dance in the clubs. No, I just did a concert. No, I don't want to go dancing. But Studio 54, you would say, oh, but I'm going to Studio 54. They would look and go, you are? Oh, well, I want to go to that. So
Sure.
there was a magnetism and magic to the place and the name and the
Absolutely.
euphoria that created the disco movement.
Right. And everybody wants to go somewhere where everyone else is fabulous. It was a guaranteed fabulous, every single person in there. There was never, in my mind, there was not one club before or after that ever had that chemistry where they had that kind of mix of people. And that I have to say early on in the game was Steve Rubel and Ian Schrager. They just really knew how to do it. And I promote parties, some of our friends do. And this, you got to have the right combination of people. And not all the same kind of people. If you're
Well,
going to
that's what Steve wanted. He wanted the beautiful gay boys.
Yeah.
He wanted the drag queens there. So
Socialites, celebrities.
So
Yeah.
and celebrities to mix them all together because that was the secret ingredient that made the evening so beautiful.
Absolutely.
And it was a place once again that, too bad it's not around anymore, that a place where people can come together. And I'm not saying that people don't, because music does bring all kinds of people together.
Yes.
It brings people together, in more ways than we know today, but it's very different now. Everything.
Listen, this is what I tell people all the time. You can't duplicate a time, okay? Because the time itself changes. It is virtually impossible to do with the way time is, right? So this time that we're in now, there are fabulous things now. You have to look and pay attention to what is fabulous now. And for the kids that have come up, my friends in Brooklyn who are in their 20s, like we were, their mega clubs out there are fabulous to them. They love $3 bills. It's a great place for them. Their entertainers are their entertainers. You see what I mean? If you go in a timeline, every single time has its own ambiance to it. We're very lucky we got to do what we did.
Every decade, would bring in a whole new set of younger people. And the thing is, the beautiful thing about disco music is that while there are other forms of music and other styles, disco still manages to stick itself right back in the game again.
Right.
And again, it's because of the songs that we remember. And even culturally speaking around the world, why do you think it still has that dominant effect, that effect on everyone?
In Europe, everywhere, right? Absolutely everywhere, because it's what the music says. It's the fact that the music, has lyrics. It's got a beat. It's extremely up. Disco music
is happy music. It's happy music.
It's happy music, and now more than ever, we need happy music.
We sure do. I'm going to tell you something that in our lockdown. I still can't. It sounds like it was a long time ago.
It wasn't. We're not out of it yet either.
But that's what I loved about the DJs. Well, no one was in the clubs dancing because the clubs were empty and people were home. It was DJs that decided. A lot of DJs, D Nice, even Robert Leslie. I mean, I could go on a list of DJs that were spinning from their home. Lenny Fontana, they were spinning music just to entertain us so that we can dance in our living rooms.
Fernando Carnevale, we love him.
Yes.
I would tune into his Twitch sessions. It was so unbelievable. And he would have, you could do pay for things with coins and stuff. The gaming thing. Yeah, I don't get the gaming thing.
I don't either. And
but I met one of the girls that I knew on Twitch. I never met this girl. I met her on the CT.
And Jelly Bean also plays on Twitch as well.
Plays on Twitch as well.
David Morales. And the thing is that's where I sometimes pop in and they will say hello to me. So I'm going to have to go back in there and start grabbing them and say, okay, guys, you stop playing because I need you on the show.
Yeah, right. I need you live. I need your body.
But the thing is about this podcast is that while it's about one subject regarding disco music, it lends itself to so many other situations. And to capsulate and keep that in a time capsule for younger generations to go to listen and go, oh yeah, that's that guy from that group. Oh wow, he's talking to all these people. He's talking to all these people because let me tell you, I was in New York 2 days ago and went to see my old production company on West 37th Street. And so when I was leaving, the girl Marguerite DeCarlo, she said, "Oh, by the way, when you get out of the building, look directly across the street. There's a store called Rock and Soul, and they sell vinyl records because I'm back to collecting the ones I have, but I'm back to replacing the ones I lost." And no sooner than I opened the door to the building, and Macho Man was playing.
Get out!
And I took out my phone. I started filming. I walked in there and started singing and dancing, and the people that owned the store, and another DJ that was there, the DJ Reach, he turns around and he goes, "Holy smoke, Felipe Rose! While the song is playing."
That's perfect. You couldn't have choreographed that better.
How uncanny, but the fact that it was still playing, the song was playing in New York just the other day, like if it was on the radio, and it sounded clear, and they were actually playing the vinyl. Of course, I did take pictures with the store owners, and of course, I signed the cover. So I text Marguerite and I said, "Marguerite, I'm at the store across the street and they're playing Macho Man." He left the office and she ran. She
came running across the street.
She ran into the store. "Do they have albums?" I said, "Well, they only have one, but they're going to get more." So again, for the love of disco and for the love of everything, for what it's done to all of us, for all of us, and sadly, we reminisce for the ones that we've lost through the AIDS epidemic and what have you. We live and we remember the ones that are not here. And when we get these reunions like the CT at Studio 54 CT, which we will do again next year.
I want to do more than one next year. I already told Dougie Meyer we need to do more than one. We have the crowd that wants to do it.
Yeah, and actually, that's interesting that you said that, because it was only with the CT, with the Robbie Leslie Studio 54. It's only on September, only once.
But the CT, the gay party boat, and it's all themed. We have a Latino boat. We need to bring the whole thing back. People are craving it. We have great DJs. We have a good time. It starts with Gay Pride, and then there's usually 2 cruises a month, all the way through to the Last Dance, which is the Robbie Leslie disco cruise.
Well, I'm definitely going to be on that one again with you. So Wendy, I want to say thank you. And I was on your show, If These Walls Could Talk.
And you're coming on again.
With Tim Moss, who's another person who is just everywhere.
Right.
The thing is, because I live on the Jersey Shore, I guarantee you, if I lived near or across from the city on the Jersey side, I would be in New York every night too.
Well, Tim Moss invited you to stay on his couch. I'm just saying.
Well, like that couch surf, and I'm gonna take.
You are a couch surfer.
I'm gonna take him up on that. For everyone listening, Wendy Stuart. Wendy, let's talk about your book very quickly. Where can people find it?
My book is called She's the Last Model Standing, and they can find it on Amazon. I have so many great chapters in there about Studio 54, Andy Warhol, what the time was like. And I call it She's the Last Model Standing because
I'm going to have to get it now. I'm going to have to get it.
I am still standing, and I'm still cranking it out, and I'm still doing my thing. You can get it on Amazon. There you go.
Okay. And If These Walls Could Talk, your podcast show.
Oh, we've got a bunch of podcasts. If These Walls Could Talk every Wednesday at 2:00. You can find us on Glue TV. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on Tim Moss Facebook Live Wednesday at 2:00. It's like a gossip show. We have celebrities come on. We spill the tea. and then some.
And
I
then
also
you and UBTV as well, right?
and UBC TV is connected into Glue TV. So yeah, that's how. And a shout out to Peggy Dodson, who made it all happen for us.
Hey Peggy, I'm coming
Hey,
soon.
Peggy.
As soon as I get this season locked in, then I will. She will be.
Oh my
calling
God,
me.
yeah. Peggy
I have the contract. She sent me the contract.
She did.
So
Fabulous.
we're just gonna wrap up this season and then move into season 3. And then she said, season 1 and 2 she'll pick up right away. She said you have to be ahead of in your shows
Yes.
in order to have content. So we're excited about that with my associate producer Estela Nena. And
Hi, Estella. She's great.
And so she's right behind that logo right there, listening, recording. And so I want to thank you once again for the do-over interview because of the thunderstorm. It kind of locked, there was a power surge, and little did she know, and I know that we talked for about an hour plus, and she recorded like this much. And I was like, oh, let's just play that and I'll do a long intro about Wendy. She said, no.
It's, I never run out of stuff to talk about, especially when I like the person I'm talking about it with. You need to get you, me, and Roll Arena in a room together. Boy, that conversation.
When I go down to do If These Walls Could Talk.
Yes.
At Pangea, definitely have Roll Arena there as well.
That would be so great.
So Wendy Stuart, Wendy, thank you again for being on the Disco Chronicles. And I will get your address. I have a little something I want to mail to you.
I'm waiting for my gift. Thank you, love.
Thank you again. And to everyone, catch us on Anchor FM and Spotify. I'm Felipe Rose, your host, and to our wonderful, gorgeous, beautiful guest, Wendy Stuart. Thank you so much. I love you dearly.
Thank you.
I hear the doorbell ring and suddenly the panic takes me. The sound so ominously tearing through the silence. I cannot move, I'm standing.
And we're back with Wendy and Felipe. I don't know why I'm on that side.
I know.
This side.
Felipe, we're all topsy-turvy here.
Oh my God, help me, God, please.
Felipe, I'm a top and you're a bottom. How did that happen?
Okay, well, the show is still a work in progress, and I was on your show, If These Walls Could Talk, last summer when I popped out my single Dance Again. And so by the time I was on your show, how many seasons has If These Walls Could Talk? How many seasons are you?
Like a year and a half. We've been doing it a year and a half.
Okay.
That's a lot. Yeah, that's a lot of shows. The concept went into progress January of 2021. I thought of it in December 2020, started shooting it December 2021. And the reason for it, as you know, the restaurants were all shut down. And I love Pangea. They've hosted so many performers there. Oh, and we're going to do your show there too. We have to have a show that you do there. But Blondie's been there. It's a who's who of performers, and they were shut down. They had their only restaurant business was outside, right? We all know how many restaurants went out of business. And I thought, you know what? We cannot allow this to happen. And I was sitting in front of Pangea one night and I had a heat lamp over me. I was freezing. It had to be 30 degrees. We all know those heat lamps do very.
I know. We ate outside last year in the fall, Stella and I. We froze. We
froze, right?
Yeah.
But that's when the idea came about. And I happened to be with a group of friends. We had this tight little group of friends. We were all performers and we were all hurting from this. And Tim Moss was at the table. I'm like, I'm going to do a show. and you're going to be the co-host, and the rest is history. So
Wow,
we
that's I love it. I
a
love
great
it.
story. And we started taping inside Pangea, which was very easy because they weren't allowed to have customers.
But what's great about that is that you invite DJs and record people, film people, writers, and everyone, and they go to the restaurant, which is fantastic.
Which is we can do that now, but early on in the game, Felipe,
You
I
couldn't.
was streaming them in from LA. Some really big names that you could
Wi-Fi.
you could get people for, like Scott Page from Pink Floyd. You could get people, Kenny Olsen, because they were home. Everyone's tours. You know, people do not realize how devastating this pandemic was to people in our industry. These people were all home, and they were aching just to, you know, get out there, or if they had written something, you know, to like share that with people and say, hey, look for my new single that's going to be coming out.
Yeah.
Our industry really got hit worse than anyone.
It did, but also the Broadway industry also was decimated. It brought
Part of
in
our industry, right?
it brought in such a huge income and revenue to New York City in itself. So, you know, that being said, and now that we're here and we're just, thank God that we're back and we're out. We're not really back. I mean, we're living in COVID. I mean,
Right.
we're sort of like maneuvering around, and I'm very protective. I go, no, don't kiss me. If I hear anyone go, and they cough, I look over and I run, right. So tell me, let's talk about your relationship with DJs, especially with Robbie Leslie of Studio 54. When we were on the boat, CT, the music that he was playing, like I got emotional over one song that I heard that I just like it literally took me back. What was that experience for you hearing those songs last Sunday on 9/11?
So, like you, those songs brought me back to who I was in those days. And even before Studio 54, Felipe, there was the Saint. The Saint is really where it all started. And if you know Robbie's history, right? He was one of the big DJs from the Saint. And he would play some of the songs he played. I remember Dancing Under the Dome.
Yeah, he played at Studio also as well.
Yes, no, definitely.
Yeah, but a lot of people don't know the Saint is not mainstream. The Saint was like the Hayden's Planetarium.
Right, I love that.
Well, you can't really think about it. You really can't explain it. I now that we brought it up, I do have pictures of the Saint, and I'm gonna have to send them to my associate producer to bring those pictures in and cascade them, because they built inside, all in metal, a staircase going up to the very top floor where you walked into the club and it was a dome.
My God, that I couldn't have thought of a better description myself. And it really, in so many ways, was like being in space. It was otherworldly.
And you actually sat inside the dome, behind the dome, looking in at people in the dome. I forget what the fabric or the material was that allowed you to see through it.
Right.
Marcia Stern was also a lighting technician.
Oh my God. Okay, so let's talk about Marcia Stern. Love this woman. I met her for the first time just now on the CT.
Are you serious?
Yes, we and I'm like, we connected. I spoke to her 3 days ago. I'm like, who the hell are you? You're fabulous. She says, everyone knows me from lighting. And I said, so you're the lighting Marcia Stern. We're going to connect when she comes back into New York again in October. But you know what? Now you're talking Robbie Leslie. You're talking Marcia Stern. You're asking me, what was I thinking or feeling? My God, remember what you were doing in those times. I remember being on that dance floor at Studio 54.
The song that took me that night when we were all dancing was, I haven't stopped dancing yet.
Oh, that one.
On our first day. And I just like put my hands over my face and I started crying.
You started to cry.
I only had 2 cocktails, and you know what it was? It wasn't whether I had 2 cocktails or 100 cocktails. It was, we were on the Hudson River on a somber day, and yes, we will never forget 9/11, but we were celebrating our lives on that day on the CT to disco music. And I think that everyone that was on the boat, on the ship. It was a yacht, river yacht. We took 9/11 back last
Thank,
week. We took it
thank
back.
you so much for saying that. Okay. Because the moment we sailed past the Statue of Liberty, you said you got choked up to that song. I don't even remember what was playing when we went around the Statue of Liberty, because that really just completely got to me. Every single thing that meant. I mean, that spoke to every person there. And you know what? That was the right place for all of us to be.
Yeah, and I agree. And celebrating Rollerina's birthday, and also in a way, while I was up on the upper deck, and then sometimes I would step out to the back, it just seemed as though the music that evening was curated for
Thank
what
you.
we were watching.
Wow. Wow.
Like every song just went with the 9/11 memorial with all the lights and something that was playing. I thought, oh man, he played Souvenirs. A lot of these songs are classic,
Yeah.
songs that you didn't hear on the radio back then.
Thank you. Thank you. And you know what it took me back to? This is like, I'm digressing a little, but my times at Studio 54 during that time period, I had met an Orthodox Jewish dentist. This is a true story, but he didn't really walk the walk or talk the talk. And he and I would go to Studio 54. He loved going to studio. He lived for it.
Oh,
All
you're
the
killing
songs
me.
that you just brought up, like studio, like Souvenir, and I haven't stopped dancing yet. All right, let's call out Push Push in the Bush.
Push, push in the bush, you know I like it. Yeah, 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 yeah.
I
Just
remember
great
being
songs.
with Jay dancing on he was incredibly good looking too, and a wonderful person. But believe me, he wasn't living any Orthodox life at that point. But that's what that conjures up for me. And oh my God, I was going through an Orthodox conversion at the same time.
Oh my God.
Oh my God, Felipe, our lives are like, woo.
So my next question to you, because you obviously you made it past the velvet rope, you got in there, you suddenly found a place where you could express yourself. What is it? Why is the disco movement still today? Why does it still have? I know why, but for different reasons. Why does disco music still have a stronghold on culture and people today?
Because you know what? Disco really removed all the boundaries and the lines between people. It was very up. It was about being very together. It wasn't about being higher socioeconomic or lower. It wasn't about being black, white,
Ethnically speaking, yeah, yeah.
for everybody. And damn it, we are so missing that. So when people hear that music now, that's what they love, and they're responding to it.
I really do believe that you're right. I really believe that a lot of people are living and vicariously through what they remember, and even the newer generation, even Gen Zs now are finding disco, loving it. I was speaking to one girl while standing waiting for Stevie Nicks at the Here See Now Festival in Asbury Park. There were like at least 40,000 people on Saturday. And so we're talking now. We got to wait an hour or two for her to come on. So there was small talk, and then I was introduced to her through my friend Josh. And she said, oh my God, you know what? I love disco so much. I'm now buying vinyl. And she's 22 years old. I was like, what? And she said, yeah, I found vinyl records from my older sister and my mom when they were cleaning out the attic and they were going to get rid of the records. And she said, no, I'll take them. So she said she has like about 2 boxes of vinyl records, Donna Summer, Loving Kisses. So I love the fact that this 22-year-old now has like disco parties at her house now. So for me to hear this just really makes me very happy. It thrills me.
She is paying it forward. That's what she's doing. And think about it. Look at what her generation has going on now. All right, way different than what we experienced. All right, when we made it through the AIDS crisis, we lost so many people that impacted us. All right, but then 9/11, who the hell thought that was coming around the bend? And here we go right now, this pandemic thing, which was like the whole world freaking blew up when we least expected it. No one was prepared for anything. Horrific, right? her generation is inheriting all this. You talk to kids that age, and a lot of them are like, oh my God, my parents' generation, that would be us, really must have screwed up, to have such a mess.
I'm gonna make you laugh though, because I heard this, and the Gen Zs call the 1990s, they call it the 1900s.
Ah!
But the thing is that, what they've inherited and everything that you just talked about, and like then monkeypox comes around the corner with that.
Jesus,
It's
right.
like, how many plagues and crises and disasters are we going to go through? But the important thing is that I believe that music, all music, even disco music, pulls us through whatever's going on in our lives and really keeps us in a safe place.
I totally agree. And look at what you did. You came out with Dance Again. I've listened to that song not only over and over because it's a terrific song, what the lyrics mean, and the video that goes with it.
Thank you.
And that absolutely proves what you're saying. You are an entertainer. You are a musician. Okay. We all know music heals. Okay. We are the people that can help heal what's going on now. Your piece, Dance Again, is really, it's such a healing song.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I regret not doing it on the boat. I thought that I was crunch for time, and I just basically gave them some YMCA, which they loved.
You were fabulous on the boat, but I was on your tail. I'm such a pushy broad. I'm like, Felipe, we need to play. No, listen, I put that whole thing together. All right. And when
yes, you did.
Together, there's no rules. All right. Dougie came over to me and says,
well, now that I know this, now that I know this, next year we're going to work very closely with Dougie Meyer and Robbie, and we're going to orchestrate, the comeback CT cruise.
We need it.
Hope, but it will maybe now 9/11 will be on a Monday, because I think the days move forward each year. The days are never the same, so hopefully we won't. I just felt kind of strange. It was kind of a strange feeling of where we were, but then again, I thought, no, we're here because we're supposed to be here. We're here because we're gonna take back 9/11.
Right. Thank you for absolutely getting that. However, we still have to understand, like, some of our friends could not be there with us because, it's very overwhelming what you feel, the emotions that you feel. They couldn't come, but you're so right. We were all supposed to be there and be there together. We were the group that had to be on that boat. I don't know what the reason was for it, but maybe it's so that next year we can share, we can do this again, right?
Yes.
And bring everybody out, and let's get some of those 28-year-olds on that boat.
Oh, absolutely. But there were some over in the VIP area. There were some over in the VIP area.
I know there's some cute, those girls, I was taking their pictures. The ones that were in their little mini dress. They were beautiful. I'm like, who told you about the boat?
I know, right? So okay. So because there's so many disco songs, if I were to ask you, give me one. How about your one disco favorite female singer, or two?
Right. So that's a loaded question.
It is, but you gotta have one.
And of course, the song is State of Independence, because at 4:00 in the morning, when she was dancing alone at Studio 54, that was the song that I would dance to all by myself. And I would always I had a prop at Studio 54. I wish you had known me intimately then.
We probably did know each other. We probably saw each other.
Felipe, I had a rubber rat that I would twirl over my head. His name was Igor. One of those, right? And his mouth was open. So sometimes at Studio 54, I know this is crazy, but I know you love it. I would light a cigarette and put it in Igor's mouth and squeeze his sides. And there was a cigarette.
I started laughing because when we were getting ready to doing my sound check and just testing everything, you said, and Estella was with us, my associate producer, and you said, okay, well, I'll be back at 5:00. I'm gonna go powder my nose. And that was back in those days at Studio 54 or in Los Angeles. You would discreetly tell your friends, I'm gonna go powder my nose. you know, when
You
I'm
got
gonna,
it.
in other words, not gonna say I'm gonna do a bump, but you know, they would say that. So when you said that like about an hour ago, I had to laugh because I haven't heard that in a long time. I'm gonna go powder my nose. Oh, sure. While you're at it, here's another 8 ball. Because upstairs, I went up there a couple times. You have no idea how many 8 balls I would crack on a table. Thank
That's
God that it was time to get out of the clubs and walk away from all of that.
well,
But
yeah, you did what you had to do. But I mean, look at the
but it was
downfall.
crazy. It was crazy good though. It was crazy good.
It was an absolutely amazing time. I mean,
But
some of my
there were times when you didn't really need to do any. The music was the drug, really, when you
For
think about
me, the music, honestly, you asked me about who my favorite female recording artist was at the time and favorite song. State of Independence. If you listen to that, and it's kind of trancy almost,
it.
and it
Yeah.
draws you in. And I would dance there by myself, swinging my rat over my head. It would be the very end of Studio 54, the end of the night. I cherish that moment. I
Who
still
was it? So who was the next female singer that came in after Donna Summer?
So I love anything that ABBA did that was slightly later,
Oh
which
my!
was a
Oh
song
really?
called The Visitor.
I
I
don't know
hear
it.
the doorbell ring and suddenly the panic takes me. You know this song because Robbie played it on the boat.
Oh,
Okay.
did he? Okay, well then I have to look it up now.
Yeah, I want you to Google it because
I
that was
will.
the most fabulous, and it was a crossover song for them. It's
Oh,
when the disco music started to get like less happy and more emotional. I
yeah.
liked happy early disco, but as disco moved out of that and became more intense, more layered, more European and family, I took a ride with that. I absolutely did. Early Madonna, right? Like was very pop oriented. When she did Ray of Light, that album was a freaking breakthrough in
Yeah,
many
and
ways.
Madonna used it a lot, and she still says that a lot of her large influence in her music is disco
It
because
is. Right.
she actually came out of the end of the disco movement, and she had her song Everybody, and she was performing for Village People in Florida, and we were at some club called Casanova,
Ooh,
and we were leaving, waiting for the cars, and she was arriving back to the hotel. She had just performed, and they were the acts were in intervals. So an hour later, hour 20, we were going to arrive or be on stage. And she was walking in, we're all looking, the guys are all looking. And one of them, I said, wow, I love her song. She's going to go a long way. And one of the guys in the group said, she won't last but a dime from now. 10 cents from now. And I started laughing. I said, no, I think this New York girl, she's gonna take it all the way. And she
did.
proved everyone wrong.
But you know what? I agree with the person that you talked to that said that she was going to be done. I was on the balcony of Studio 54. I knew Madonna from Danceteria.
Oh, please, of course.
Jelly Bean Benitez played her music all the time. Johnny Argento, I was there all the time.
Now these are DJs that are classic in disco. I'm
Classic,
gonna get them on the
absolutely.
show, but
So I
yes,
knew who she was from there. I go to Studio 54 with my friends one night, and there I am in the balcony, and they announce who the performer is going to be. I'm in the balcony looking down. I'm like, oh my God, it's that tired broad. And she sings this song called Borderline, which to me,
right.
I know, Felipe, those songs had no ed borderline. I'm not that person. I never liked that music, never did, never
Yeah,
will.
but the thing is that she was dating Jelly Bean, and then they were working together, and he got her to studio. So right there,
Right.
she
And I
started making
remember
her
turning
mark.
to my friends saying, oh my God, she's so tired. Well,
She
to eat my words.
she was using your playbook. She was taking over one club after another and moving around New York. So God bless her. A lot of people don't
I
like
love
her,
her.
but a lot of people don't like her. I respect her because as a woman, she really she paved the way for her success. No one handed anything to her. So she worked really hard. Now, of course, Village People, they were there. Few times we performed, but there was one night when they were very late, and I didn't know what to do, and so I figured I was always walking through the back on 53rd Street because I
The
was
back
working
door, Felipe.
back door. Well, because the back door was the place to go if you knew the club and they knew you, and I go down the front vestibule in the hallway, and then I see. I asked Mark Benetti and some of the guys, I'm looking for the Village People. And they were like, well, no, they're not here. And I said, yes, they are. They're right there in the crowd. They were trying to get in through the front, but they had their outfits in their bags and all
Oh
that.
my
And I said, no, guys, you got to go around the corner. So here they are getting ready to perform, and no one was letting them in. But if they would have walked in there dressed, they would have said, oh, yeah, sure, come on in. So that was another little funny moment. So, Wendy, I'm going to just simply say to you that I am ecstatic. We're going to have to bring you back because there's so much more that we can cover. I'm also going to be going back to your show, If These Walls Could Talk, but I will be going to Pangea to do that. So where can everyone, our followers, our listeners, where can they find you?
Okay, are you ready for the handles? I've got more than a dresser. All right.
You got more handles than a
your grandmother's dresser. So you can find me at Wendy Stuart TV on YouTube. I have well over almost 3 years worth of work from the pandemic. I have not stopped, okay? Hosting shows, being on other people's shows.
Pandemic cooking and what? Pandemic cooking.
Pandemic cooking with Wendy.
I saw those.
Walls Could Talk, which you've been on. I have an LGBTQ show called Triversity Talk that is now goes through W4CY radio. If These Walls Could Talk goes through Glued TV, all right? We've had so many great things happen. I've got my theatrical performances on there. I've got all my MC. I'm telling you.
You also did something very good just very recently, something with an LGBTQ or something that you just did.
So this weekend, we hosted an author that came out. It's called Hidden Washington Secrets of Being Gay. All right. And it's about from the 1930s. The author wrote a book from the 1930s till Bill Clinton's time, what it was like for major people in history having to be in the closet to be gay, and how horribly people like Richard Nixon would out people, where their reputation was ruined. They would absolutely lose everything. There would be people that ended up committing suicide because of this. The book is so great. And we were at a Readers and Writers Festival where the author was coming to speak about the book. And in many ways, it reflected to me, even now, what's going on now in the public, right? In Florida, if you say, they told the kids you can't say gay. I mean, come on. Right?
Oh, I know. Yeah, I'm going to definitely have to bring you back.
Yeah, we'll be back.
But the amazing thing is, if this is what you're like now, I can't imagine what you must have been like back in those days.
No, I'm on fire now. I wasn't on fire then.
So you reignited yourself, and this is ignited. The new Wendy.
You know the song, Relight My Fire, Your Love Is My Only Desire. I still can't sing.
Dan Hartman. Buy her book. Yes, very good. Wendy, thank you so much.
Felipe. You are being on the
show. You'll get the link for you also to put it up on your social media handles. And everyone, thank you again for subscribing. Thank you for being on the Disco Chronicles with yours truly, Felipe Rose and Wendy Stuart.
Bye.
Bye, Wendy. I love you.
Bye, Felipe.
touch.